Welcome to OC4 Presents. I'm Michelle Wojcik. Joining us today are members from the Royal Oak Creative Writers Club. We have 6 members joining us. For the first half of the show, we'll be talking to Marianne Slavchev, Dorothy Bernath, and Beata Lyons. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing about your club, but first I need to know, what is it that prompts a story or a poem or some of your creative writing? What is it that gets that thought in your mind that you say, hey, I want to write about that?
It can be almost anything. In fact, there are so many different impulses out there and so many different things that we notice. I just wrote a story for Cat Fancy, and this was based on my own experiences with my cats, because I just happen to have 2 cats and 1 dog who have serious medical problems. Oh. And so I wrote to the editor and I asked her if she wanted an article about households with multiple medical problems, and she said yes.
Wow.
So often it's something that just happens within your household, something you notice. Maybe you notice a rude driver and you might start writing about that.
What's the most unusual thing, the most unusual topic you've ever written about?
That's a tough one. They're all different. Every topic is different. I wrote about Sam Houston as a teacher for Cobblestone. And that was rather interesting because people think of Sam Houston as being the general and the president of Texas. They don't think of him as being a teacher, and that was a children's magazine. So I always have to have an unusual angle, something a little different, a new way of looking at something, which is important.
Marianne, do you have a piece that you would read for us?
I didn't bring anything today because I wanted the others to get a chance to read.
All right.
But
Dorothy, how about you? Do you have a piece that you could read for us?
Yes, I brought something. It's not exactly what I always write. I have found that I like to write children's stories, but I wanted to sort of get this message out, and I guess Marianne said it was okay to read this.
Yes.
So
let's hear it.
Well, it's not controversial. Well, I have lived in Royal Oak for 43 years, and I have a son, David, who has Down syndrome. And David now lives in an adult foster care home in Muskegon. While waiting for the bus near his home, a group of high school students started calling him names, and this was his reply: "I like you, why don't you like me?" The students immediately stopped. During the time he lived with me, these were his thoughts and expressions. This is his words, and it was David Bernath. "Maybe I can't run as fast as you do, but I try. Maybe people don't like me because I look a little different. I always try to fit in. Maybe I like to go to the library even though I can't read. I like looking at the pretty pictures, and I do know you do not talk loud in the library. Maybe people sometimes push me because they feel that I should not take up space in this world. Maybe I will never be able to drive a car, but I do like to think that someday I might. Maybe I don't understand money. It's hard for me to see 10 cents in a dime. Maybe some people think I'm weird because I smile at them. I just want to be friendly. Maybe sometimes I have to wear thick glasses. It makes me feel like an astronaut. Maybe I should not have stopped to pick up my cap when I was running in the Special Olympics, but my cap said I was a winner. Maybe my dog Pierre didn't really know what I was saying when I whispered in his ear that your body is your own, but I know what it means. Maybe I'm really good at basketball because I'm short, they only shove me. Maybe I'm considered good at drawing pictures, but people say I'm like a young Grandma Moses. I even had some of my art in a real art museum. Why don't you like me? I like you."
That's a beautiful piece. I would bet, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that there must be some sort of therapeutic piece to creative writing. Is that your way of getting your feelings out?
That was for me.
Yes.
This was actually the first thing I ever wrote.
Wow.
Since I'm an adult. I was writing as a child.
Really? So you've been doing creative writing for a long time?
Well, several years. I have several, wide range of subjects. I haven't read yet for them other than this in the club.
It's interesting that psychologists will often tell their patients to go seek out a creative writers club. And actually, we're not actually therapy, but in a way we are too, because it is a way of getting your ideas out.
Sure. Beata, do you have a favorite piece?
Well, not really a favorite, because I write mostly human interest, And to vary my writing, I write about different parts of the body maybe, or success. I have an article here that I had written about success.
Oh.
So I'd be glad to read it if you wish.
Yes, we'd like that.
Most people like success stories. Stories are written every day telling how people have overcome poverty, illness, child abuse, and many other dreaded things in life. Webster's definition of success is A, favorable termination of a venture, or B, the beginning of wealth, favor, or prominence. So we have a tendency to attribute success with monetary gain or being famous. There are also 6 P's: power, prosperity, position, prestige, and pleasure are connected to success. People strive for them, but if the pursuits are not deeply rooted in basic moral concept, it will lead to other P, pain. Harold Kushner writes, "Our souls are not hungry for fame, comfort, wealth, or power. These rewards create almost as many problems as they solve. Our souls are hungry for the meaning, for the sense that we have figured out how to live so that our lives matter, so that the world would be at least a little bit different for our having passed through it. A result, not a goal." Gustav Flaubert. Many famous people have reached most of the things attributed to success without striving for them. Mother Teresa is famous throughout the world for her acts of kindness and charity. She has reached for success in the eyes of God, and the world has recognized her for her goodness. Things are taken for granted: successful marriages, raising a family, helping others, little things that are all success stories. Success compounds success. We have many cliches to encourage us, like nothing ventured, nothing gained, and if at first we don't succeed, try again. It almost starts from the cradle. The children's book, The Little Engine That Could, has been a long-time favorite. The newscasts tell us that the little beanbag toy animals called Beanie Babies are in such demand that the stores can't keep them in supply. It recalls to me my venture as a toy entrepreneur. Not to say that I was successful, but it was fun while it lasted. 20 years ago, I designed a beanbag puppy, very much like the Beanie Babies. I made it of fake fur and tied a narrow satin ribbon around its neck. It had floppy ears, a stand-up tail, and a felt tongue and eyes. I showed it to my neighbor. She was delighted with the toy and asked for the pattern so that she could make some for her grandchildren. Several days later, she called to say that she had made about 25 of the toys and invited me to her church festival where she had donated them. When I saw how fast they were selling and heard that she had made orders for 25 more, I thought, darn, that's my design, and if they're that good, I should try to do something with them. The following day, I called the dress pattern company and asked how to get a patent for my design. They discouraged me by saying that all someone had to do was to change one thing to make the patent useless. Soon afterward, I called my friend Lee, who was familiar with merchandising, and asked her to meet me for lunch at a popular restaurant. I had made a half dozen of the puppies, sat them up in a red basket with a sign on the side, "Puppies for sale." I set the basket on the table, and during lunch, 2 or 3 waitresses came to the table and asked if they could pick the toys up. They carried them around the restaurant, showing people and giggling. When I asked Lee if she thought that the toys would sell, she said, "Look how they like them." A few days later, Lee told me that she had made an appointment with the owner of the Grosse Pointe Mobile Hole to see my toys. When I took my basket of puppies to the appointment, he immediately ordered 6 dozen of them in varied colors. I could not believe my good fortune, but dizzy with success, I stopped at another toy store on the way home, where that owner ordered a few dozen. A bit overwhelmed, I called my former sewing teacher to ask if any of her students would like to earn money sewing at home. I recruited 6 women and then found where I could buy the fur, felt, ribbon, thread, and bean filler at a discount. I was in business. My jobs were to sell, cut out the patterns, take them to the sewers, pick them up, stuff them, tie the ribbons, and deliver them. I also sold about 80 of them by sending them to my husband's and daughter's offices. It was going well, so I took them to the orthogonality shop in Birmingham, where the owner ordered several dozen and suggested I not stuff some of them and make them into puppets. The puppets sold well, too. To my delight, the puppies were displayed in the store window, some hanging into glass bowls with their little tails sticking up. Beanbag toys are cuddly and will hold in any position in which they are placed. It was fun for about a year, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Each puppy I made seemed to take on its own personality, and of course I entertained my grandchildren with the puppets. I was handling the toy materials constantly and developed an allergy to the fur, so I stopped. I probably could have done something with the business, but I didn't. And like I said, it was fun while it lasted. To me, it was a success, just knowing that I had what I had accomplished and having the association with the nice people that I had come into contact, with whom I had come into contact. That was my venture and what I had gained. My neighbor had told me that she had passed my pattern to a friend to make money for their organization. Sometime later, I attended a craft show and discovered that an enterprising craft person had run my puppy pattern through a copying machine and was selling each copy for $1.
That's great.
Thank you.
As you were reading, I was thinking, when you come up with these pieces, particularly something like that, is it something that you sit down in one sitting and you write the whole thing, or is it a work in progress over a period of time, or how do those pieces come together?
It's a draft, but you keep polishing.
Revising is very important. A lot of people think that writers are like Hemingway, and Hemingway just sat at a cafe in Paris and just dashed off these beautiful short stories. He would rework a short story as many as 39 times.
Oh,
So
wow.
Oh, yes.
there's a lot
I
of
do
work
it
to
several times.
Really?
I do several, yes.
Have any of your members been published?
Yes, several of them. B, for instance.
Great.
I am once a month through a senior paper.
Wonderful. How about additional members beyond?
I've been published. We also have another lady who writes for the Bird Digest for several different pet magazines. So there are two of us writing for pet magazines in our group. Teresa Nielsen is very, very good.
Did you get published, Dorothy?
I only got published as a child.
Okay.
I had not did serious writing when I was till several years ago.
So far, but who knows what'll happen after
Well-
today's show, right?
Well,
You might be
true.
contacted from the
I'm
publishers.
getting used to, I have sent out a lot of my work, but I get a lot of rejections, but they're kinder than they were at first.
Really?
Yeah, they're little notes, handwritten notes now. First they were forms, so I figure I'm getting somewhere.
That's wonderful. How many members do you have in the Royal Oak Creative
We
Writers
have,
Club?
I think, about 8 right now, because there are 2 more really regular people besides the ones here, and others come and go. We are looking for new members, so
Great.
it's a
Do you have to be an experienced writer,
No.
or someone like myself who is not a real polished writer? Can they still become a member?
Sure.
Well, I don't consider myself a polished writer, but it's just, it's really neat to be with other people that have the same interests. And we critique each other's work, and that
wonderful.
input is very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be back in just a minute with more information about the Royal Oak Creative Writers Club. Stay tuned.